But we're going to get in to the grand finals of this KSL. And this is a special one because I feel like these are not the players any of us would have predicted to necessarily get here, as good as they are and as much as we love them. So it's kind of exciting. This is not just another Hero versus Dark. In fact, this is a TVZ, and spawning in the upper left-hand corner of Golden Aura just took down Dark in a fantastic semifinals. It is Oliveira looking very strong in this matchup. However, his opponent, a very different style of play from Dark, and I think we're going to see a good match. I hope we're going to see a banger of a match here. In the lower right-hand corner, it is Onside Gaming's Solar. So we did just see Oliveira play against Dark. It was a very good match. The first map on this map in particular was kind of crazy, something really sick. But Oliveira was able to take big advantages early on, I think just by virtue of playing a little bit differently than the other Terrans in the meta right now. I don't know what it is exactly, but Dark had some plans, he had some ideas, he had some builds ready, and Oliveira just countered them just by existing, basically. Like, just whatever he was doing, whatever macro play he had going on, just countered what Dark was going for. And it put Dark in a very bad position. All 3 games, Dark went for something, and it felt like it was a very Dark move. Building roaches, ravagers, the +1 melee lings, you know, the kind of stuff you expect Dark to do, and usually it works pretty well. It was just all completely ineffective against Oliveira. But we didn't get to see any just regular macro games. All 3 games were like that. All 3 games were Dark essentially putting himself behind by taking a risk and it not paying off against Oliveira's build. Solar is very unlikely to do that. Solar is not the kind of player I usually expect to have cheeky builds like that. He has had them in the past, but if he was going to have one, I'd imagine he'd be trying to save it for GSL, bigger tournaments. Trailblazer 55, thank you so much for using your Prime subscription on my channel. I really appreciate that. And I hope in the future I'll be able to do some karaoke and you'll be here to request a song. Because, man, I love singing karaoke and I miss being able to do that. But thank you for that Prime sub. Yeah, Solar's more of a macro player, and I think he's going to be more reactive to whatever Oliveira is doing, and I think that's going to work a lot better than what Dark was going for, which were specific targeted attacks that Oliveira was very good at defending and deflecting. But as we get into this game, I'm going to remind everybody once again that this is a Patreon-funded tournament. We are completely funded by the community via the Patreon, and we really appreciate everybody who's in there and been supporting us so far. We're now on week 31. We had the big Summer Slam. The community has really come through in the last year since we lost that big Blizzard funding, and I think we're all really happy to see how much life there is in this scene, even without Big Daddy Blizzard. And now as Microsoft is going to be in charge, maybe we'll get back to some of that. But community has been really uplifting. So if you want to support this tournament, if you want to support these players, consider becoming a patron on that Patreon. You will get all the replays as a reward, but the real reward is knowing that your money is going directly into the pockets of the people who entertain all of us on a regular basis. Specifically this week, Oliveira, Solar. But yeah, thank you guys for listening to my spiel. And before I stop spieling, consider following me on Twitch, subscribing to my YouTube. Those are very appreciated. I'm almost at 500 subs on YouTube. I know we can get there. It's close. And then one day, maybe 1,000. A man can dream. A chicken man can dream. But all right, I'll talk about this game a little bit. It's not too exciting right now. As expected, Solar's macroing. He's just trying to deflect the Hellions of Oliveira. This is extremely standard TVZ. Oliveira going for Hellion Banshee opener, quick third CC, taking the base because Solar isn't really showing any aggression. So both players just macroing very successfully. Oliveira being careful not to lose his Hellions, which I think is really nice. It's something he did against Dark as well. Keeping those Hellions alive can be really powerful later on. If you find an opportunity to sacrifice them against a bunch of drones, I think it can be well worth it. But I like that Oliveira's like, yep, you're pushing my stuff away. I'm just going to kill some creep, pull back. And then later on, maybe they can be Hellbats in the front of a bunch of, Stim Marines. I think it could be a really powerful combination. The Banshees as well, their job was to defend against any pressure from the Zerg player early on. Now that that's gone, they can go do some harassment. 6 drones going down. Solar, though, still maintaining a worker lead. Up 10, 11 workers. Solidly on 4 bases. Probably going to take a 5th fairly soon, if I had to guess. But yeah, this is looking like a nice, solid macro start. So far, Golden Lore giving us some good TVZs. And it looks like Oliveira is going to push from this location. If I had to guess, straight across the map into the jaws of Solar. Could be a strong push. Lots of Marines and tanks out right now. Heading across the map, 1-1 is nearly done. Solar's is a little bit behind. So there might be an advantage here for Oliveira, where he's got that 1-1 and the Zerg doesn't quite have it yet. But there's a lot of Lings and Banes here. Solar has not been messing around. He's building plenty of army. And Oliveira seems a little unsure of where he wants to go, heading towards the bottom side for a second there before moving back up. And this hemming and hawing is going to allow Solar to get that 1-1, finish it up. You want to figure out which way you're going. You don't want to be hemming and hawing your way, because otherwise you end up like writing a book or something, and nobody wants to write of Mice and Men. That was a Hemingway book, right? Did that Hemingway joke come through? I hope so. Solar sending some units either for a counterattack or a wraparound. It looks like it's a counterattack as Oliveira sieges the tanks up at the top side. The Queen's just trying to buffer for a little while so Solar can get more units in. It looks like that was a flank at the end of the day, and oh my god, Solar just going to overrun this position. Oliveira losing everything. And while the trades were fairly even, and there are reinforcements here for Oliveira, I think that was ultimately a good hold from Solar. He is going to back away from this force. The tank sieged up, doing a lot of damage to those Banelings. 36 more Lings on the way, more Banelings being morphed. Oliveira pushing onto creep once again, feeling strong about his position here and rallying across the map. More medevacs to join up, more Marines. The Marines do stim again. They are very damaged. Link's going to be sent around the backside as the Banelings try to dive forward onto these Marines. But all the Banelings go down. The Marines are still alive, as damaged as they are. And there's no Banelings left. No Banelings were morphing in that time, so now it's just on the Queens and Lings to hold. Again, these Marines have stimmed quite a lot, so they're pretty low on health, but they find a beautiful little choke here to just trade so well against the Lings. And Solar was holding beautifully at first, but Oliveira continuing to rally across the map. He takes the supply lead. Solar with no Banelings left, just Queens and whatever Lings he can get out. He is really on the back foot here. He's trying to get into some Hydras for that more consistent DPS against the Marines, but the Marine count might just be too high. This 4th base is in a lot of trouble right now. Solar, he's losing all of his Queens. The Lings are dying as they pop out, and GG gets called. Oliveira takes game number 1. Wow. He is on an absolute roll, man. Oliveira just dominating right now in this bracket. This is so sick. Looking so incredibly strong against Dark earlier, and then in a bit of a different change of pace here, being extremely aggressive, hitting very, very hard against Solar, who I usually consider one of the best defensive Zergs. He's so good at just macroing and deflecting whatever the Terran's doing, taking some damage, but usually never enough to kill him straight up that early. If anything, Solar will take a little bit of damage here and there, and then the follow-up eventually will take him out. Oliveira just pushes straight through. And I think Solar did a great job at taking care of that first attack, but then lost a lot of banelings against the one siege tank and that small group of Marines that reinforced. And all of a sudden, he was scrambling to gather everything together. And Oliveira just took advantage of it. He did not slow down at all. He did not chill at all. He pushed straight through the middle of the map, kept that pressure on, and Solar cracked. He cracked so hard, actually, that it looks like his internet might have just dropped because he just went offline right as we were about to start this game. Okay, Solar's back online. I was worried there for a second. Honestly, if he hadn't already been in the lobby and then dropped afterwards, I'd have been like, uh-oh. Is he molding? He's like, I hate this game, I'm out. But no, he's back. We're loading in. He's 1A, 2A, 3A, 4A, 5Aing in the chat, as Solar often does. We're heading to Oceanborn for game number 2. There we go. Hitting the buttons, hitting wrong buttons. That's why I don't play the game. I just cast the game. Don't have to hit too many buttons. Spawning in the upper left-hand corner, we have Dragon, Kitesies, Oliveira. Up 1-0 in this grand finals already, looking so strong. His opponent in the lower right-hand corner is Onside Gaming's Solar. Took down some heavy-hitting Protosses to get here, but now has to contend with the world champion Terran. You're asking what ping Solar has to play on here. The smallest amount of ping you can possibly have. I mean, Solar's in Korea. We are on the Korean server. This is no ping for Solar. Oliveira is, I'm sure, going to have more ping. Probably not a ton. I don't know how much ping he has, though. Not a lot. I think less. I'd say less than 100. But I'm not exactly sure. Solar definitely has the ping advantage, but I don't know that it's enough for it to be too much of a factor. The KSL is always played on the Korean server. It is the Korean StarCraft League, so that felt like it made sense. We actually created this tournament specifically because when Blizzard pulled funding, all the regions got hit pretty hard, but it felt like Korea and in general the Asian region got hit the hardest. The GSL prize pool dropped significantly. A lot of the regions were combined together too. So let's say you're a Chinese player and you want to try to qualify, or I think it's China and Southeast Asia and Oceania have all been combined. To qualify for something, you just have to beat the world champion, right? That's it. The world champion's in your region. And if you want to be the one person to qualify, you got to beat him. And so it became all of a sudden incredibly difficult to like make a living if you're in Korea or if you're in Asia in general. And that was really the idea that we had that made us put together the KSL. We had talked about putting together various tournaments and, you know, we were in discussions about that, talking about what we wanted to do, where we wanted to put our energy, but it became immediately clear that we needed something to help keep the Korean scene alive. And GSL, fortunately, has crowdfunded a bunch of money as well. They have a Patreon, and some people have suggested that the KSL being Patreon funded is what convinced the GSL that it could work, that they could also be able to increase the prize pool and do their tournament live thanks to the community, and they have been able to do that. So whether it was us or it was just in general a good idea, I don't know, but I'm very happy they're doing that, and it feels like the Korean scene has been propped up quite a bit from that heart-sinking moment that I felt, at least, when we read the prize pool drop and how hard it was going to hit Korea. And the players have also shown a lot of gratitude that we're able to put this on. I'm very happy to support in what ways I can, which is just putting my time in to keep the tournament going. Hopefully we can keep funding for a long time and keep the KSL running for months and years to come. And I'm also hoping that, maybe Microsoft hooks us up. Microsoft has shown a lot of interest in StarCraft, even in just the limited amount of time that we've been here. I feel like there's been more interest in Microsoft about StarCraft than Blizzard has shown since about 2018. So I'm hopeful for the future, guys. Plus, we have more RTSs on the horizon. And as we all know, a rising tide lifts all ships. If RTS sees a bit of a resurgence in popularity, even just a small one, that's going to help StarCraft. It's going to help Stormgate. It's going to help all of us. Zero Space. I'm really stoked on Zero Space. I want to play it. I hope I can get into the early alphas and stuff and get some playing going on Zero Space, because that game looks so fun to play in just the limited stuff I've seen of it. Stormgate's been really fun to play. Now that I can finally say that, I'm allowed to tell you guys that it's fun. Dave, go to sleep. My God. The man's still awake. All right. I want to talk about this game. It is a little bit different here. Oliveira is going for a +1 timing. We actually saw him do this build against Dark. Couldn't tell you what map it was on or how it went because my memory is not very good. It's actually funny. I was listening to the GSL and State was talking about how when he casts a match or when he casts like a day, he forgets what happens throughout the cast. And I think Tasteless was talking about it too. Like, he and Artosis would try to go through every game after a cast, and they just couldn't remember every single one. There was always some game or a few games that they were like, what map was that? Was there a third game? I don't remember. And I completely resonate with that because there's always like a few games in a bracket that are just gone from my memory. Some games I'll remember forever, but a lot of them, they're just gone. And I'm glad it's not just me. But Oliveira is going for this push. This is a nice little tank position, but doesn't cover a lot of ground. He is going to force a cancel on this base, it looks like. But Solar's going to come down here, wants to try to punish him. No cancel, that is just a kill. Solar bringing a lot of lings in, but kind of late. The Bane Nest. Is there a Bane Nest? There is, but there's no Banelings here. No Bane speed. The Queens are going to force the lift up. Oliveira, though, he gets the kill on the base. I think he's got to be quite happy about that. Finally, some Banes morphing. 1-1 is nearly done here for Solar. He will have an upgrade lead once that finishes for a long time because the armor never started here for Oliveira. He might have forgotten it, or he's just delaying it until he has the second eBay, perhaps. But he's going to continue pushing with the tank and these Marines on the bottom side. Meanwhile, the top side, there is a double drop heading towards this new fourth base. However, Solar seems to be splitting pretty decently right now against this. And Oliveira now watching some big Bane connections. He gets out of there with 8 of the Marines. But it looks like Solar is dealing with the drops on both sides right now. These medevac needs to be very careful and get out of there. Meanwhile, all these Marines have died. Ooh, Widowmine, great split there from Solar. He was really paying attention. The tank is going to get saved. Oliveira gets out of there, but Solar deflects beautifully. That's exactly what I expect to see from him, other than missing the cancel on this base. It was a solid deflection from Solar. JW, thank you so much for the raid, my friend. Hope you had a lovely stream. Welcome in. Maybe the JW raid will bless us with some nukes. We can only hope. We are so lucky. I haven't seen a nuke in a TVZ in such a long time. I feel like there was one not too long ago, but it was just like an inconsequential single nuke. I want to see some nuke action. That used to be the meta in late game TVZ. I miss those days. Oliveira trying to push on the top side. Solar sees this, but I don't think he's realized where this is. And he's dealing right now with his Liberator being annoying, as well as, I think there was another Liberator over here that finally died. Tanks have shown themselves. Solar does have Bane speed on the way, but it's pretty far away. And it looks like he's going to sacrifice this base. He is taking this one once again, but he can't just keep going back and forth. He needs a real fourth base here pretty soon. Lings and Bane's heading for a counterattack. This is a big counterattack. He's looking for the fourth base. It is not there. Oliveira lifting up Marines at a crucial moment, though. Oh, but he sees this and drops them right back down. At the same time, he continues pressuring onto this base. The Queens are forced back. The Liberator, again, getting some damage done. And the Lings and Banes are pushed away. The lack of Bane speed so painful here as this Marine is chasing and catching up to a Baneling. Doesn't get the kill, though. Not quite. Wait, hold on. Oh my god, it gets the kill. And it kills another Baneling. Valued Marine. We could only wish to be so lucky. Solar looks like he wants to try to take this down, but he's scared of over-committing to the defense. But that's just allowing Oliveira to stay here, forcing another cancel on that hatchery. And at the same time, there is a double drop down here as well that Solar is not prepared at all to deal with. So he needs to clear this so that his army's free to head down there, and he finally will commit to fully clearing this. He will knock it out of there. But here comes the double drop. Oliveira getting big damage done, keeping Solar onto 3 bases consistently. The drones stay alive, but once again, they just run back over here where they're waiting for a hatchery that's only halfway done. So they're going to long distance mine once again. Despite Solar having more workers this whole time, there's been plenty of times where Oliveira is mining more. The mining overall has been very even between these two. And Oliveira is going to take a 4th base now. He's up to 69 workers. He's got drilling claws on the way, +3 attack and +2 armor being made. A lot of stuff back at home. And Solar, he's been deflecting this, but it's getting harder and harder as he's mining out in the main. Oh, never took this gas, but mining out the minerals in the main. The natural is getting very low. He's going to mine out these patches very soon. There goes one as I say it. And Oliveira is taking fresh bases. He has fresh patches to drop mules on. He's got a fresh planetary. Solar needs to take a big win here. He needs a good cleanup. He needs some good Baneling connections to push Oliveira back and kind of stunt the momentum that Oliveira's had. But I don't know if Oliveira is going to give that to him. However, right now he's unsieged. The Banelings coming in. The Vipers blinding, clouding the 2 siege tanks there in the back. Beautifully handled by Solar. Banelings roll through. The splits from Oliveira, though. Somebody's been practicing their Marine micro. Damn professional. Keeps those Marines alive, and he just stims forward. And Solar is forced to tab out as Oliveira just pummels him into the ground again in game 2. What is this Oliveira? Where has he come from? Where did he come from? Where did he go? Where did you come from? Oliveira Joe. I don't know where we're going with that. He is looking incredible right now. This is insane play out of Oliveira. I mean, there's nothing easy about any of these games. It's just straight up crushing it right now. This is the Oliveira we saw at Katowice. This is the Oliveira I remember seeing. Remember back when Cyril was like top of the world? Nobody could really hold the candle to him for a period there. But there was like one match. I think it was not Stockholm. Was it in Jönköping? I feel like it was a Jönköping tournament that Oliveira, back then he was time still, played against Cyril, and there was that moment of brilliance, and we all went, oh, time is like really, really good. He has that in him. And it felt like we didn't really see that again until Katowice this year. But here it is again, man. It is shining out.
Game paused.
Oh, a little bit of a pause here. A little bit of a PPP. before we get into Alcyone. Solar did have, I don't know if it was a computer issue or an internet issue, and at the end of the first game, while we were getting into the lobby for the second one, so hopefully it's nothing related to that. Oh, and he's back.
Game resumed.
So we'll get back into the game here. Just a quick pause. But in the upper right-hand corner of Alcyone, now up 2-0 on match point in this grand finals. It is Oliveira. His opponent in the lower left-hand corner. Onside Gaming's Solar, who I feel like on paper, if you looked at this, you'd be like, I think I favor Solar a little bit, right? I don't know, man. There's something special about Oliveira. I feel like he brings out a different energy in the games he plays. And also, he's got that momentum thing where when he's winning a game, when he's winning a series, when he's winning in a tournament, does he become unstoppable? That's what happened at Katowice, right? I mean, what an experience it was to see him like upset. Take the big upset, right? Win the game, win the series. And we were like, oh man, I can't believe he made it to the round of 8. And then it was like, man, I can't believe he made it to the round of 4. And he was just on a roll. Nobody could stop him. He got to the finals. We all didn't want to believe, but we all knew he's going to win. Like, he made it to the finals. I know it's Maru, but Oliveira is just going to win this. He has to. That's the only way this makes sense. And he did. He just crushed it. That's kind of what it feels like here. This is the small version. We're baby Katowice. This is exciting. I do hope Solar can pull it back a little bit. I'd love to at least see a point on the board for a Zerg. But like a game 5 would be dope too. Maybe Solar can pull the reverse sweep. Talking so much about Oliveira, how much we love Oliveira. Maybe Solar's like, all right, hold on. Maybe that pause, he needed to like crack his neck, you know? Crack his knuckles. Get ready. Needed to message Rainer. He's like, hey, what build should I do in ZVT? Oliveira's dominating right now. You have like a build? Rainer sent him a build order. Oliveira doesn't need to seem to need anything special. That last game was like a very aggressive +1 timing to start things off, but I mean it's very by the books. Game 1 was a 3cc just marine tank push, right? It's all so far been so standard out of Oliveira. It just feels like he's nailing it. And Solar's struggling to deal with it. I do wonder if it's like a meta thing. Maybe Cure and Gumiho and Maru and the Korean Terrans are playing like a different meta. We've had the 2 Rax Reaper opening from Beyond that a lot of those players have been doing, and maybe just different openings, and Dark and Solar a little bit caught off guard by this Hellion 3cc Banshee opener. I find that hard to believe because it's such the standard. But there is the possibility that Oliveira's like, hey, you guys, you're not ready for this right now, are you? You're not ready for a perfectly executed opening into some heavy pressure, into more heavy pressure. It's kind of crazy. I also noticed that Clem's pretty high up on Aligulac right now, so maybe there is a bit of a resurgence of this style, because the way Oliveira is playing feels very Clem-like. This is how Clem, I feel like, when he was crushing the Zergs, all of the time, this is how he was doing it. And the meta shifts and changes, but a lot of times it ends up going back to where it was, It settles back in where it was finding value earlier. Ooh, Oliveira threatening to dive forward, but decides not to. Again, making the choice to save his Hellions instead of sacrificing them. I really like that choice. So far, I feel like it's really helped him. Later on, when he does those pushes, just having those Hellions in there to help against the Lings, to tank some of the Baneling shots even, so the Marines can do their job for longer. I feel like that's been a big part of these games and why Oliveira's pushes have felt so strong. Just having those extra 6 Hellions in there can be so powerful. And this is looking exactly like game number 1. Alcyone, obviously a bit of a different map, but not so different from Golden Aura that I feel like Oliveira can't just do the same thing. In fact, it's also mirrored symmetry. It's flipped the other direction, but we're seeing very similar movement in a lot of ways here from Oliveira. And he could absolutely go for a push through the center of the map. I wouldn't even hate to see him bust down his own rocks to get through and maybe try to siege up some tanks back here or something. That could be a very annoying position to push through. The middle of the map is kind of funky, and you do have to be careful with siege tanks especially. They'll go around the outside, around the outside, around the outside. And you don't want to have your tanks separated from your Marines like that. Again, we have 5 Raxes here from Oliveira. I mean, this really is just the game 1 build. We'll see if Solar's able to do something different here to combat this. It feels very similar, and honestly, game 1, that first push that Oliveira did, Solar, I think, handled it beautifully. Cleared it out really nicely. But the follow-up one ended up doing enough damage, and Solar just started struggling from there on out, that I'm worried for him again. And Oliveira going to stim forward. He's going to start taking down some of this creep. This time, instead of the tanks, he's got mines with it. So that is a bit of a difference here that Solar needs to be careful of. Solar, though, great at splitting. We've already seen it. Oh, and that was not a great split from Oliveira as he eats a big Baneling shot. No Bane speed, so even though they're on creep, Oliveira is able to target fire down some of these Banes. The armory is done, so the Overseer is necessary to clean up these window memes, if you would. And Oliveira is going to start hitting on the top side. Already the Reaper is there. The Hellions getting ready to show up as well. But there's also Marines and a mine and a medevac, so the top side is where the real concerted push is. Whereas Oliveira is just poking on the bottom with a handful of Marines right now. Solar needs to recognize how much is up here. He might just have to cancel this base. And he is, yeah, he's going to do that. He's not in position to deal with this. Sending now the Lings and Mains over there. This time Solar is getting some Hydras out. I think he's in a better position than in game 1. As Oliveira starts this pressure. That was a big Widowmine hit, though. 16 kills on this mine. I see a lot of dead Zerg units nearby. Oliveira going to lift up and get out of there on both fronts. But again, the Terran has taken the supply lead, supply blocking Solar a little bit. That has been consistent as well. Oliveira keeps killing Overlords and supply blocking the Zerg. It's so annoying. Kills the creep, boosts out. Classic Terran move. And Oliveira, again, he's just going to keep this pressure on. Solar has to just defend over and over and over again. He's got to keep building units. He's at 78 drones. He just needs to defend. Oh, Queen's caught off creep. 2 of them going to go down immediately. And Oliveira gets a bunch of creep cleared, gets a nice position set up. Tries to drop 4 Widow Mines in, but I think the Spore Crawler and the units here deterred him for now. But that medevac is still there. That could get a lot of damage done later on. And Oliveira, in the meantime, he's got a 4th base here. He's going to turn it into a planetary shortly. But here go the Widow Mines. Oh, the drones have pulled away, but the Banelings come in and eat some big shots. 5 drones going down and a bunch of Banes. I'd say that was worth it. Not the most value trade for Oliveira, but overall worth it. The worker count is now evened up. There's a lot of stuff down here for Solar. Oliveira needs to be a bit careful. He's committing a lot to the top side, where Solar has quite a few less forces, so that might be where Oliveira wants to focus his the main of his attention. Widowmines fire on nothing. Oliveira needs to be careful about the Banelings. Oh, and the friendly fire Widowmines, but it's not enough for Solar to knock this down. And again, that base has to be canceled. That's the 3rd time. Solar will get some good Baneling connections, push this away. On the other side, the Banelings will roll off creep far enough to push Oliveira down that ramp. He will maintain the position, but he can't really get too much done here. That being said, Solar doesn't have any lings with this. Not a lot of Hydras left either. He moved a lot over to the other side. The Marines continuing to push forward, focusing down the Banelings. The micro from Oliveira has been so good, splitting against the Banelings in some of these games, focus firing them in others, just handling them beautifully. There's been a few decent Bane connections, but every time Oliveira is looking, his micro is flawless. He is just nailing it. And he is continuing the pressure on both fronts here. It's 4 bases to 4. Oliveira is ahead in workers right now as his 4th base is done. He's getting into a Ghost Academy and just continuing to produce non-stop. Needs to start up that 3-3, but he's got that Ghost Academy on the way. Solar on the other side is heading into lurkers. He's got Adrenal coming up as well. So he is getting into his late game tech. Should be able to get those Vipers out. In fact, I think a couple already popped, if I'm not mistaken. Here they are. Lurkers are being made. Their range upgrade is about halfway done. That's going to be very important. But Oliveira he's not stopping the pressure, and he's not letting Solar take another base. As soon as Solar tries, Oliveira is there, focusing it down, gets the kill, not even the cancel. The Lurkers are here. Oliveira says, I'll burrow too, don't worry. And he is going to kill everything Solar just sent down here. With his reinforcements, with those Widow Mines, the base is fully dead. Solar has to bring everything else down, but that leaves his natural completely open and up 2-0. Oliveira is pushing through. He's nearly maxed. He's ahead in supply in every way possible. He kills the Hydra Den before pulling back, but he's got the other army over here just continuing to push forward. Non-stop pressure onto Solar. The Lurkers are all dead. He is morphing more now, 6 of them on the way. But Oliveira has ghosts coming out. He has successfully kept Solar on 4 bases. Not a single one of these bases has completed. These have all been either cancels or kills while they're building. Solar has not had a 5th hatchery this entire game. And Oliveira, he is just not stopping with the pressure. Now, Solar is getting up to a good army supply. Another cancel on that base before Oliveira picks up and gets out of here is just insane, the amount of pressure he is putting on. This is a very small force for Oliveira. He's just trying to take little trades and then pull back. Again, zoning Solar out from being able to take this base. The Widow Mine's really keeping him out of that section as well. And now Oliveira on the bridge needs to be careful of the 6 Lurkers that are here. But with the ghosts out, he can absolutely get some snipes off. Ooh, that's what he's going for. Doesn't quite get him, though. The Lurkers actually are able to see those ghosts, so snipes do not get off. And Solar is finally going to get to a maxed supply count here, which is what Oliveira has been stopping him from so far this entire series. I don't think Solar has hit maxed once. But now he is maxed. He has a solid army. He has Lurkers, Lings, Banes, Hydras, and Vipers. And so now we're getting to a different phase of the game than we've gotten to so far in this series. One that I think might be a little bit better for Solar, as he might have enough units to finally be able to fight some of this better. I don't know. That's another cancel on another base. Widow Mines down here getting some kills. Only 3 drones. They will all get cleaned up. Oliveira's going to pull back. It's going to be kind of a slower paced game now. There's still going to be a lot of action happening, but I don't think there's going to be that threat of Oliveira just killing Solar for a little while here. Taking a couple command centers to the top. I mean, Oliveira is just covering his entire side of the map. I wouldn't be surprised to see him try to put a planetary here fairly soon. He's just trying to find good trades. Some snipes going down. Some Banelings are connecting, though. So Oliveira is going to pull back. He has so many medevacs. Oh my god, this is 12 medevacs right here. Just healing this army up. A parasitic bomb or 2 on these medevacs would be kind of sick. Oliveira is going to keep pushing. Solar pulling a lot of stuff away at kind of a terrible time. I think he's going to lose this base again. 261 hit points, but can Solar push this back? Widow Mine's connecting a little bit here. Solar, it looks like he's going to drive it back. He's onto that bridge. Oliveira really wants to kill this base, but he doesn't want to overcommit for it. It's just an Overseer getting killed here. There were some lurkers around. I don't know where the lurkers ended up going. Oh, they're in the Nidus Worm. Oh, there is a Nidus Worm going down. That's not the best position for a Nidus, but Solar is going to do what he can here, I guess. I think that's what that Overseer was for on the top side. Snipes going down. Oliveira just trying to get the value he can and force these units to come onto the bridge. The bridge of splash damages. There are a bunch of mines still left on this bridge. Actually, only 2 left now. I think a few of them have died. And finally, Solar is able to force the lift up, and Oliveira gets out of there. But he's got another push here. The Liberator's making this so difficult to engage into, and he kills another base. This one is finally mining for Solar. He's so oversaturated at it, though. And he got this one up. So Solar finally has some purchase here with his 5th and 6th bases. They're injured. They're a little bit scarily positioned. But it's not going to matter at the end of the day that he has those, because Oliveira just kills the army. And I don't know where those lurkers were trying to go, but they didn't get anywhere, and they were not there to defend. Oliveira just crushes through. 3-0 Solar in the grand finals. That was the best game for Solar of any of them, and it just fizzled out. Oliveira just pummeling into Solar over and over and over. And Solar, he cracked all 3 games. He just cracked. It's just a matter of time. The world champion looking like the world champion. What else is there to say? That is beautiful.